Hello friends, how are you? Welcome to the Japan Study Center. Today we are going to see the chapter of geography, and what is our topic today? Floods. Flood is a natural disaster, and there the natural disaster here with the arrival of monsoon, people living in a 4 crore hectare area of country become extremely unnervous. Nervous. Why here the nervous? Because there is the flood come by their monsoon season of every year. No one now when there will be a flood is a rivers and there is a hard event to the belonging will wash to away. And in a comparison to the other disaster flood cause of more damage to life and property. There is a very harmful here, the flood here. A disaster flood is causing to more damage and life and property here. And 20% of the death is causing by the flood in the world occur in India. There is the most important point, 20% of deaths. The reason being only for here floods in occur in the India. The next year, what is a flood? First of all, to understand what is a flood here. The inundations of an area by the water is called a flood. Inundation of area by water is called flood. In other words, when a river overflow, it is a bank and water spread into the surroundings area in a flood. The various cases of flood, losses by the flood and floods control measuring and described below here. The important point, what is a flood here? But next here, cases of flood. The cases of flood here, the cases of flood in India are flowing. The first case here, heavier rainfall. The flood is the main reason here, a case, a heavier rainfall here. The heavy rain is the catchment area of a river cause of water to overflow its banks, which is a result in the flooding of nearby area. There is a heavy rain is a mostly there is a flooding the reason here. And sediment deposition. Sediment deposition also here. The river is a bad become a shallows and due to sedimentations, the water is the carrying capacity of such a river is reduced. As a result, the heavier rain water overflow the river bank here. That is an important point. The sediment deposition, the river bed is become to shallow down due to the sedimentation. Water carrying capacity of such a river reduce here. As a result, the heavy rain, the important here. And the next point, deforestation. The flood is the main and most important reason here, deforestation. Vegetation is a hampers the flow of the water and forces it to be a percolate in the ground. As a result of deforestation, the land become a obstructions free and water flow with the greater speed into their rivers and case of flood. There is important here, vegetation hamper. There are deforestation is the reason here. And next, cyclone. The cyclone is the main reason here. The cyclone generated to the sea waves of the abnormal height spread the water in the adjoining coastal area. In October 1994, Odisha cyclone generated a severe flood and causing to the unprecedented loss of life and property. The next year, interference in a drainage system. Interference and drainage system, that is important. The important here drainage system. Drainage congestion is causing by a badly planned construction of bridges and roads, railway, tracks and canal etc. Hampers the flow of water and the result is flood. The next point is important here. Change in the course of river. Changes in the course of river here. The meanders and changer is the courses of the river cause of floods. And the next point is tsunami. Tsunami also is important here. The large coastal area are flooded by the rising sea water. Where a tsunami strike their coast. There is an important point here. The next year, lose by floods. Loses by flood here. The human and animal both are affected by the flood. People are rendered is homeless. Houses are damaged or collapsed. Industries are crippled, and crops are submerged in the flood water. Domestic as well as the wild animal die, and boats and the fishing net etc. are lost or damaged in a coastal area. Outbreak in epidemics like malaria and diarrhea etc. here, and are common after the flood. And potable water is a contaminated and sometimes become a scarce. Flood grains are lost or spoiled. There is supply from the outside become a difficult. The loss of flood, there is the most important point here. And loss by the annual flood is stated to decreasing or increasing every year. In 1953, 2.43 crores of people were affected by the 1987. The number of flood affected people rose to a 4.83 crore a year. According to an estimate, on average property, the world rupees 210 crores in a lost in the flood every year. The flood affected about 6 crore peoples and crops of 1 crore hectare are damaged. The next year, flood prone area. The flood prone area, about a 4 crore hectare area of our country is a flood prone, and which is a 1/8 of the total area. The most flood prone area are Brahmaputra, Ganga, and Indo Basin. As far as the state are concerned, Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, West Bengal, and Odisha are the most flooded affected state, followed by the Haryana, Punjab, and Andhra Pradesh. Nowadays, Rajasthan and Gujarat also feel the forest of floods. Karnataka and Maharashtra are no longer immune to floods. Here show the most important flood area here, Indian map. That is the most important here. The maximum flood is come again. There is a Bihar side, Rajasthan, and there is a Gujarat, and also other state. There is a most important diagram show in your screen. There is an important map. There is a flood area in India. The next here, flood control measures. There is an important here, flood control measures. The first point here is reserves. The reserves are important here by the constructing reserves in the course of river could be stored extra water at the time of flood. Such a measure to adopted till now, however, have not been successful. Dams built to be controlled flood and Damodar could be not be controlled the flood. The next year, embankment. Embankment is also important here. By the buildings of flood protection, embankment, floods of water can be controlled from to overflowing the banks and spreading in nearby area. Building of embankment of Yamuna near Delhi has been useful in controlling the flood. The next year, afforestation. Afforestation, the fury of the flood could be minimized by planting tree in a catchment area of river. The next year, restorations of original drainage system. Drainage system is generally choked by their construction of road and canal, railway, track, etc. The flaws could be checked if the original from drainage system is restored. The next point here is important, flood management. Flood management is the most important point here. About a 4 crore hectare area is a flood prone, and out of this is a 1.44 crores hectare area has been to made in scare of some is extended from to devastations by floods. To achieve this goal is an embankment and drainage canal has been to the constructed. Protection of town and cities has been to the adopted. The villages are decorated on comparatives by higher ground by the need of Nitha plans 8,000 crore rupees has been spent on the flood management. The next point, some do as and the do not before, during and after the flood. You know that first point here. Listen to the radio for advance information and advice. Second here, disconnect all the electrical appliances, move all the unable household goods and clothing out of reach of the flood water. Adopt such as a measuring only when there is the forecast of flood or you suspected that the flood water may be reach the house. The move to vehicles, farm animals and movables good for the higher ground and prevent to dangerous is a pollution. Keep all the insecticide, pesticide sector out of the reach the flood water. Switch off the electricity and gas in a case you have to leave the house. And the next year, look all the door and window if you have to leave their house. And there do not enter flood water on food or the vehicles for a possible. Never to the bounded in the flooded area in your oven. There is a most important point here. The important point also in the box, they are not down. The inundations of on area by rainwater is called flood. What do you mean flood? The flood is understand the inundations of area by rain water is called flood. The basin of Indo, Ganga and Brahmaputra river are the most flood prone area. There is a most important point here.